then again, I don't listen to Spanish music. I do, but not like that.
Spanish music is hella tight.
I'm probably being out of touch with that shit.
Spanish music be like it's like one of those. It's like rare. It's like because when I listen to rap hip hop shit, it's like it's more for like for the enjoyment of just listening. But the Spanish one, that shit goes straight to your hips.
To your hips?
Yeah, it make you want to shake your rumpa.
Oh shit, I don't know about that.
When you listen to good Mexican music, for whatever reason, the power it has for your body, that's crazy.
You know what I think? I was like, because we have a lot of cousins and family members who speak strictly Spanish, and they don't know how to speak English. It's not like they don't, but because they live in the U.S., but their first primary language is Spanish. Like if they go to talk to anybody, it's Spanish. And I wonder when they see us, they for sure see us as Americanized, huh?
I would think so.
For sure, they'd be like, "Oh, these fools are hella Americanized." Like, and it's fair to say, I guess it's fair to say, but it's like, yet well, at least I feel that I'm like as Mexican as you can get, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know,
because it's like you said, I don't listen to Spanish music. Like I've heard it all my life. It's around me all the time, but it's just like it just Spanish music has never touched me in the way that English has. English music made me fall in love with music, and Spanish music didn't do that, and I don't think it would have ever done that for me. I think I would have been like, for sure it would have grew on me because I like music regardless. It would have grew on me and I would have liked it, but not to the point where it would make me want to create music. I don't think Spanish music had that for me.
Or you just never discovered it.
I don't think I would have discovered it if it was just if you blocked out hip hop from my ears. If my ears never heard of that, I don't think I would want to rap or do music. Because that's how powerful
there's a lot of music
hip hop was.
I guess how we can't really say.
I guess we can't really say, but still, like, but when I think of that, I'm like, am I less of a Mexican?
I don't, because I don't know how do you characterize one to be Mexican? Like, I don't know what the because what fields you gotta check.
Because when I go to Mexico, like for sure they don't see me as like straight up Mexican. They see me like as a watered down Mexican.
Well, I think
it don't matter how Mexican you are on this side. When you go over there, you're no longer a Mexican like that.
I think just because you're a citizen, you're a U.S. citizen, automatically you're checked off because you weren't born in Mexico. But it's still though.
Yeah, and it's almost like well, it's not a hate, but it's almost like what do they call that? It's like a certain. It's I don't know what's the word because it's not like discrimination, but it's almost like a shot at you.
It's just
like it's kind of like a shot at you, like you ain't from here, you know. Even though like your mom, my mom grew up in the same place, bro. You just stayed here and I left. So really, like, how can you say you're more Mexican? Maybe just because you stayed around the culture longer, and even though we were in California it's full of Mexicans, it's not the same as Mexico. It's not the same as Mexico. Mexico is Mexico and you can't duplicate it. So I guess if I look at it like that, I am less of a Mexican than them.
What are like certain check marks though
of a Mexican?
Of a Mexican. That like
I feel like because I used to have like certain standards of like if you're Mexican or not. You know, but I don't feel that way no more because I just feel like if you're Mexican, you're Mexican, you know? It just seems fucked up to tell somebody you're not Mexican.
You're not as Mexican as me.
But I used to feel that way because they're like, if you're Mexican, like, well, speaking on back then, if you're Mexican and you don't like spicy food, I would be like, you're not Mexican, bro. Even if I would say that joking around, I'd be like, you're not Mexican, bro. But then the same way I do that, they could be like, oh, you don't know how to dance? You're not Mexican, bro. Oh, you don't wear boots and shit? Like, because I'm pretty sure if I pulled up how I pulled up to a real Mexican party in Mexico, they'd be like, where's your boots at? Like, you know what I'm saying? Where's your shit at? Like, what the fuck? You're not Mexican. Everybody would be like, nah, you're Americanized. Like, and it's true because That's what I'm saying. Like, do you feel as we grow older, we steer away from our culture? But I
I,
think that's inevitable. Huh?
yeah, just because of our where we live, the area, the location, and the people around us.
But we also got to evolve, though. It's just how it goes.
But I think it's a little sad to think that eventually our kids are gonna the Spanish language is gonna fade, and that you can't stop that because where we live, the no, you never speak Spanish. You when you do sometimes, but it's rare. And as generations go,
Yeah,
the Spanish is gonna fade, and that's
and
sad.
and you know, and when we're in Spanish speaking countries, or when we're in Mexico, or when I was in Mexico, or when I'm in Texas, or when I'm in anywhere where it's dominated by Mexicans, right? And we're speaking Spanish, and I hear myself speaking Spanish, it's almost like that's not me. You know, it's almost like that's not my voice because it seems like I have gotten so used to speaking in English with my voice. And it's to the point like when you hear your voice in another language, it's almost like it's a whole different voice.
Do you feel like it does not doesn't your
Like it doesn't
Spanish
represent
sound
me.
doesn't
Yeah,
sound like you?
like it doesn't sound like me, but that's only because
You're not accustomed.
not because I don't my vocabulary ain't the same. So how could it be the same? So that's why I feel like when I speak to somebody in Spanish, they can't get a grasp of who I truly am. Um, it would take longer based on my vocabulary because I can't. You know, when you're trying to talk to people, it takes me longer. So that when it takes you longer in their language and they don't know English, well, they might judge you on that too because they might be like, "This fool don't know how to talk Spanish. He's slow," you know. But it's like, but I'm bilingual, bruh,
So
and
you,
you're not. You know, so we could take shots right back. But the whole thing is not about taking shots. You know, I just find it weird because I'm like, we are kind of steering away from Mexican culture because we don't do the shit my dad did. We don't do the dancing shit. We don't wear the boots. We don't got the hat. You know, the cowboy hat. And a part of it is it's a shame because it's like you want to preserve that, but I think it's inevitable. Like I said, it's
I
just
think
gonna
you
happen.
don't. I don't think it'll ever die in Mexico.
Hell no, we'll never die with that.
So like so long as it stays, so long as Mexico it stays strong, I'm happy. Like because I understand that eventually it's gonna fade for us, but so long as they don't fade in Mexico, is all I can hope for. And because if
Like as
it's
long as the culture don't die.
yeah, so long as it don't die there in Mexico, then I'm good with
Yeah,
it.
because I remember when I was in Mexico, I took a taxi and the guy was like, "Where you guys from?" Right? And we were like, "Well, we're from California." And then the guy asked my mom, he's like, "Oh, you're from you were born in California?" I was like, "No, I was born here." And he's like, "Oh," and she's like, "Yeah, but my son was born over there." So he looked at me and he's like, "I got a question for you." He's like, "How do you view yourself? Like, do you think you're Mexican or you're an American?" And I was like, "Well." I was like, well, I was born in America, so I'm an American, but I'm as Mexican as you can get. I don't see how you can not categorize me as a Mexican because my mother and father are both from Mexico. So if you were to say I'm not Mexican, I would say that's not true. And he said, "Eso, mero." He said he's like, "You're Mexican." He's like, "That's what I'm saying." He's like, "You're Mexican, complete Mexican." He's like, "Don't let people try to tell you you're not." But it seems like that's a common thing in Mexico. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe just a couple people. I don't know. But it seems like people do look at you different, like you're not one of us no more. But yet there's people who are envious of like why you made it out and we didn't. And it's just I don't know.
It's not nobody's fault though.
No.
I think it's just
It's all luck.
you were born where you were born, and there's nothing you can do about that. And it sucks, but that's the way the world is.
But like the way it makes me feel though, it's like you can't create that. To being in Mexico, when I went to Mexico and I was like 16, this was the first time because I've been to Mexico multiple times. The first time, and I seen my cousins, right? And everybody was like so welcoming. And then they were like, let's hang out. They kept telling me, let's hang out, let's do this, whatever. And it's in a small ass like desert, damn near, where there's nobody, right? But it's like a little city, whatever. It's not a city though. What would you call it? Like a village. And they were like, hey, every Saturday they have a party down the street, and it was like this empty lot, like almost like a basketball court. Maybe it was a basketball court. I don't know.
Just the concrete or
Just
fence?
concrete. I don't remember if there was basketball courts like to play basketball. I don't remember that. But every week he said on Saturdays the DJ comes out and hooks up his speakers and he starts playing music and everybody from the town who wants to, they go over there and it's basically like a party. And they're all dancing. And I remember when they took me there, I remember like I don't know, there's a feeling you get from that. And I don't get it nowhere else than when you're around your people like that. Cause it's as Mexican as it gets.
And it's all just young teenagers?
No, it's adults too.
Oh,
But there's
okay.
it's filled with like, and that's the thing though, because in America it seems like teenagers have their own parties and adults have their own parties, right? It's like they don't mix, like because it's not cool, right? You're not gonna go to a party and party with your parents and shit, and their parents like. It does happen, but I'm saying like the majority of the times when teenagers go to parties, they go on their own. They create their own little shit so they can do bad shit and shit like that. So the kids over there, and maybe it's the same over there, but at that party, everybody was there, adults, kids, and everything, and it was like a hangout spot, and it was like a certain thing that I felt like it was tight, and this they do this in multiple places, because as I was riding through the city, as we were driving, we drove probably like maybe like 20, 30 minutes away. I don't remember what we were doing, but as I was driving, I was riding in the pickup truck in the back on the bed, and they had like a little like they had a chair, like an actual seat, and I don't even know how the fuck it was tied down to the fucking truck, but it was. I don't know. I didn't have a seat, but I don't think so. But I was riding in the back, and we were cruising through the city, and you seen like the same thing like that, but like times 3. It was huge, and then people were partying, and it was late as fuck.
And
It's
it's in
probably
the
like
middle.
11 or 12.
Is it out in the middle of nowhere, or is like
It was like past another like village type shit.
Hmm.
But just seeing that, it's I don't know. It's just interesting.
It's gonna be tight when I go. If I ever get to go, I'm going for sure. Before I die, I'm going for sure. But I feel like to get the full experience, do you think you have to go out to those villages, or do you think that you can have a good ass time, like worth going
Well, I
in
just
the
feel
in the
like
city, in the city?
well, it's because
'Cause
I
want
feel
AC.
like
I want AC.
I like going to the roots because it's like the streets, you know. It's like where we come from, and when you go straight to the roots, and that's why like um I didn't like because they would, especially the older people who knew me, well they were like they would treat me differently, and I didn't like that because I'm like I'm no better than you. Yet they were like try to make sure that my shirt don't get dirty. Like when they told us, hey, we're gonna ride out to town, and they told me to come with. I don't know why. I don't know if I needed something from the store. My mom needed something, and I went with them. And it was in our car, right? So I hopped in the back on the bed, and they asked me. Well, my aunt asked me. She's like, "Hey, no." She's like, get in the front. Get in the front. She's like, I had a white tee on, and she's like, "You're gonna get your shirt dirty." And I was like, "It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine." And she's like, "No, you sure? You want to come to the front?" And I was like, "No, I'll just stay here." So then she left me there. But I'm like, either way, I don't feel like I got my message across because I'm like sure, I can get my shirt dirty, but that might send the message like I got money to replace it. Don't worry, like that. So and I didn't realize that as I was doing that. I just was like, don't give me equal treatment, don't or better treatment, better actually than everybody else, because they'd be willing to kick somebody out the front, and that's why when my cousin with him like he treats it like he sees it how I see it, like we're equal. And nothing proved it more when we went in the car freaking like 6, 7 deep, and it wasn't a truck, it was just a car. And me and him shared the passenger seat. So we were all squished and shit. And that's how we rode through the city and shit like that. And that's what I like because it was like equal shit. Now we used to be both suffer, whatever. And we gave all the girls the back seats. And me and him were in the front squished for hella long.
Hours?
Yeah, probably it takes like 45 minutes to get to the city and then 45 minutes back.
Mm.
So when we got to the store, I got to like stretch my legs, and he was like, my legs hurt too. Because we were all freaking squished. And I slept on the floor too. because I'm like, I'm not gonna take their bed if that means that they got to sleep on the floor or whatever. I'll sleep on the floor because it shouldn't matter.
That's because I think people think that for whatever reason, because you're American, you get either special treatment or they gotta pamper you, or you're not accustomed to the rough,
Yeah,
the streets, the dirty. Then you're not accustomed to it because they think that for whatever reason they think the U.S. is paradise everywhere. On
yeah,
that shit, paradise everywhere, and that shit not.
it's not. But like, it is a better life, 100%. It is a better life, but I don't know what they think about. Like, you get over here and you're
Like,
rich, and it's like you're not. But it's like you do live better because they can see the things that we have and be like, what are you talking about? Like, you got so much, and it's true, and we're blessed for sure, and it's just luck. But I mean, I don't know what to say to you. It's not my fault. It just is what it is, and you got to take advantage of whatever's in front of you.
do you think that anyone, if you're born in the U.S., right, and you're capable as far as your body, right? I'm sure there's various things that come into play, but do you think that because I feel like yeah we're in a position where we're not struggling, but do you think that this is achievable by anyone with um what do you gotta show in order to achieve this whatever status, right? Because
That we have,
work, you just gotta work, right? You just
that
gotta
we
work
have.
hard. Yeah.
I don't think so because I think like our cards really played out because it's like we're willing to reason and we're willing to work together, and a lot of people are not. A lot of people, even brothers and stuff like that, they're not willing to get along. So when you're not willing to get along, you're willing to just step on your brother or whatever, and then your relationships gets distant. And then when you have people, shit just makes shit easier. And when you don't, or when you step on somebody, or you're known for stepping on people, then it just makes it harder for you because nobody wants to help you. And I
Because
feel like our shit, like we know people who really fuck with us because we really fuck with them. And I'm pretty sure people would lend us a hand if we needed it. Why they have?
but when I think of like me being solo, it would suck like a motherfucker, obviously. But I'm thinking like I would in order for me to maximize money income, you would have to spend damn near nothing. You would have to uh, I'd be eating fucking because you would when you really are on a grind, you'll eat noodles, huh? Every day, every meal, eggs, whatever the fuck, right? Cheap, cheap, cheap. And when I think of because you don't have to only got to do is worry about yourself. And I think of uh one of our uncles living in a trailer. I remember he was living in a trailer and he just working, and he would save up all his money, and then he would have in cash, he would have like 40 grand. And I'm like, damn, that's someone who's grinding, who doesn't care about, I don't care what I drive, I don't care what I wear, I don't care if I have a house or not. My priority is securing my future. And I'm like, that's when you see somebody do it by themselves like that, that's tight.
Yeah, but I think like because you were saying, because I'm pretty sure like certain people are just they don't get they're dealt a bad hand. So if you're dealt a bad hand, like if your mom didn't take care of you, it's hard to just, I think, be like, yeah, I gotta go out here and get it and do all these things, but nobody has taught you that shit. So you're gonna fuck up a lot. So that's why I can't knock anybody or judge anybody or look at anybody differently, like, oh, because I would have, because I have the benefits of what I have. I can't fall because of the people around me. And it's like not everybody's blessed like that. Because
But
I got multiple lifeguards. And the same way we all got multiple lifeguards. Ain't no drowning around here. But even just because there's no drowning doesn't mean we jump in the water head first. But it's just like some people don't have that assurance.
But those people that don't have it would be,
but they'll get it eventually. I can feel like that.
I feel like if they just continue to
they'll
work,
get it eventually. If it might take longer, but the way the shit is with comparing, I mean, each other's lives, and now with social media, it makes you feel like you're losing. This episode is brought to you by Casa Flores Taqueria and more. I recommend everybody to get out there. The address is 6907 West Side Saginaw Road, Bay City, Michigan, 48706. If you would like to call ahead and place an order, the number is 989-316-1230. They're officially open. Pull up. You won't regret it. Now let's get back to the podcast. You seen that shit Joe Rogan posted about, like, I don't know, it was like an article about how they were able to transcribe or some shit, a song from people's brains just from them thinking it or some shit along the lines like that. And it says that with this technology in the future, it might even enable us to be able to talk to each other telepathically. Sending signals and shit.
I wonder how that would work, because if you think it and it's said, like right now, what I'm saying, I'm not thinking about it. And the words here are just coming out of my mouth. They're not.
It's weird.
They're not. They're not announcing themselves in my brain. They're just coming out of my mouth. So, but when I think, you think of the word. When you talk to yourself, you think the conversation is within your head, and when you talk out loud, these words are not in your head, and that's just weird.
It's almost like a delay, huh?
Yeah, that's.
But weird. You know what would be interesting? If they installed some type of communication device inside vehicles, to where if you're in the freeway, you could ping the car next to you, a stranger's car, and they would have to accept it. But if they accept it, you can talk to random strangers' cars. I think that's hella tight, right?
That would be tight.
Because if you're on the freeway, and it might, even if it's just a family member car, and instead of picking up your phone, you just ping their car. I don't know how you would do that. Maybe the car sees it and you pick what car, or I don't know how that would work. But somehow you can ping it and it would just open. But maybe you think that's a distraction?
Well, people are on their cell phones.
To be able to talk to strangers on the freeway?
Because your phone, they have OnStar, and you can call you can use your phone through the vehicle and call. They make it so that it's like hands-free, so you can talk to them while still your eyes are still on the road.
Yeah, if you were like ping blue car, license plate 12367.
Well, that's too much work. You would have to just be like
ping blue car in front of me.
Yeah.
You know, but like Toyota, this, no.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it would, and then it would come up. It would come up as, you know how when I airdrop something new, and it will come up. And it say accept whatever car behind you or whatever, trying to whatever, and then you say accept, and then you could talk to them, and then you'd be, since you're on the freeway together, you could be like, hey man, I just wondering where you're going, and then just start talking to them, like, hey man, like how you doing?
You think that would help with like growing the communication level with strangers?
Yeah, I feel like because you know how nowadays you walk by anybody and you like, now there's zero interaction when you walk past somebody, and if you even say something to somebody, it can be taken as like who, I don't want to talk to you, like mind your business, whatever. So now the normal etiquette thing to do is to ignore the person next to you.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because it's like we don't even speak to our neighbors. And sometimes I feel a way like it's almost like it's wrong. Like, because it's crazy. You live right next door to me and I don't know anything about you. You could be a murderer and shit. I don't know.
People say that 50 years ago, everybody knew their neighbors. Their neighbors knew everyone. And I remember as a child, we knew our neighbors.
But now it's just weird now, huh? Like, you know how you see it in TV shows and movies and shit, where like, I'm a new neighbor and they bring them a cake or some shit. Yeah. That shit don't happen. Well, at least not around here. You know, but that shit never happens. But it's just weird because how society is going.
It's becoming more of a hermit crab.
But people have tried, though, with me. So it's not like they haven't tried. They have pulled up to me and said, like, what are you doing? Whatever. You smoke? Whatever. But to me, it's like found smoke. I don't like want to just go in there because I feel like I'm just allowing for certain shit to come into my life that I may not want. So I'm playing the safe card and just saying, nah, I'm good.
I feel like there's a benefit to being antisocial though. There's a big benefit.
But there's a big benefit to being social
Yeah, there's big
with
benefits.
people. With having people everywhere, like relationships are better than money. So people will save your ass. So I like to be cool with people, but I also like to give people their space. And I like when people give me my space. Because I don't want to come home every day and be like, hi, Jerry, how's your day at work?
And then listen.
And then him just coming over whenever he wants and being like, hey, I just came over to see how you were doing today. Because my day's bad. Or I just like, give me my space. But I don't know how to find the right balance. So because I don't know, I just steer away.
And because it's hard to really, like, people are sometimes, they overdo it. They over exceed their welcome. And because you don't want to be mean, you don't want to, there's no, how do you beat around the bush to make your point known without being mean? And because it's so much work and so much thought that you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or you don't want to make somebody feel bad. So you just put up with it. And that's where I don't like to do it.
But sometimes there's certain people who are like, know how to communicate very well and know how to like spark conversations that are intriguing and interesting. There's been people who have been like, damn, I want to know more. I want to talk. I want to keep talking because whatever he's telling me is interesting. And because we've had those conversations, huh? There's times where you meet somebody and then you automatically like, what do they call that? Like click, and you could have a long ass conversation with them. Have you ever had that with anybody? Like a coworker, even if a long conversation is 15, 20 minutes. And it's not like first day you meet them. I'm saying with time, like you see them every day, and then one day you just really start talking because you never talk, and then it's just like a 20-minute conversation, and it's just interesting. That shit has happened to me. It's not often, but it has happened to me.
I think I'm sure it's happened to me, but I can't remember one specific like recent one. The only one that I come to mind are from a guy that retired from where I used to work at. It was an old dude, probably like 65, 66, and he had a lot of knowledge of all kinds of shit. So when you talk to him about anything, I would talk to him about space, aliens, the political shit.
But I think, don't you think that sometimes there's a gap between though what there's
Age.
like, yeah, like not just as far as like when they try to give you advice. Sometimes like when they try to give you advice on certain things, I'm like, I hear it. I'm always hear it, but it's just like it's almost like you don't know the space. Like it's a whole new space.
It's just he's giving you advice on a 65-year-old point of view.
Yeah.
Where he wasn't brought up
on a new type of shit. Because people would tell you how to do things in the new day. Like you should do it like this. You should do it like this. But it's like that's not how it works. Like how there's plenty of people who have told me about music, even at work or anything. Like you should do this, or why didn't you do this? Or but they don't understand there's a process to this shit. So then, but you get tired of explaining that. So you just be like, but I always hear them out. I always hear them out to hear what they got to say. But that's what I'm saying. Don't you think there's a gap sometimes with the older people when they try to give you advice? Like, yeah, you've been through that road, but the roads are no longer the same. They pave new ways and new concrete.
Yeah, in different directions, and it's up and down now.
And I'm not. It would be damn near impossible. I'm going down the same one as you did.
Yeah,
because like the college thing,
they closed that shit down.
It's
already.
Like college. Do you think college is still the way to this day? Not the way, but like it's still common, right? Like you think like it's still like
I feel like
dropping.
I feel like the rate of people of high school students pursuing college has dropped because of the internet. But I feel like depending on your career, it's still a solid avenue to pursue. Depending on what type of career or job you're interested in, because some career paths are only accessible through college, and that's just how it is. But I feel like the need for it has gone down significantly.
You,
and I don't think the same amount. I think it's probably dropped to like, I think probably like 30%, probably,
you think
if
it'll
not
ever be
more.
gone? I think it will be
Nah,
gone, but it will be replaced with the
college.
new system.
I think the whole educational system needs to be reworked, anyways.
That shit is flawed, or that shit is hella
Yeah, I
outdated.
think they should.
Have you ever seen those pictures of their like 1964 classroom and 2023 classroom is damn near identical?
Hmm.
It's textbooks and shit. Like we would think we would find new ways to learn.
I think the only way that it's because I feel like who I forgot who said this, but they said that they need to make education fun,
That's Neil deGrasse
entertaining,
Tyson.
and because it's so boring, and it's like even the teachers don't freaking. There is some teachers that are super into
Yeah, into
teaching,
it. Yeah,
and that's tight.
but all of
But
them are
not
just like it's just another day.
read a
Huh?
chapter,
Yeah,
do the test, and that's it. And turn in your homework and shut up in class. That's
yeah.
it.
That's why I left. Like I dropped out, and I was 17. And the reason why I dropped out was I think the school system failed me, and not to put the blame on them, I dropped out my choice. But it was also they played a role in it. I'm not blaming them, but they played a role in it, and because of that, and I'll explain why. Because when I was in high school, I did have bad grades, and I remember what do they call those people that they assigned to you?
Uh,
Remember there was like 3 of them, and you had your own assigned one.
Counselor.
Yeah, like a counselor. My counselor one day called me in, and he called me, and it was a girl counselor. She told me, she's like, you really need to start focusing on passing these classes because you're not gonna graduate. If it continues like this, you're not gonna graduate. She's like, that's why I'm calling you in because you could still graduate if you pass every class from now on. And then I was like, we talked for a little bit, and I was like, damn, I want to graduate. I was like, I can't not graduate. Fucking gonna be stuck here another year and shit. So like I have to. So then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start doing my work. And I started passing. I had like a D or a C. Now that's not good grades, right? I always had bad grades. But I was actually passing now. And one day they just sent me a letter and said that I don't remember word for word what it said, but it was basically like they were kicking me out to make room for freshmen. And I never heard of that ever in my life. I never heard of that ever. And I just couldn't go to the school no more. I don't know. I didn't take it up with the school either, though. I wonder if I would have been like, "What the heck you kicking me out for?" If I would have just went, what would have happened?
You would have got arrested and shot on site.
That's why I'm like, well, when they did that, it forced me to find another school. So then I started going around to a bunch of schools, and all of them didn't want me, and that was crazy, right? And it was in my neighborhood, like. I went to a Catholic school.
And Jesus turned you down?
And I sat down with the dude, right? No, Jesus never turned me down. No, don't say that. Jesus never turned me down. Heck no, Jesus been with me. But the homeboy, the representative of the school, I don't know who he was. I don't remember his name. But I remember I went to him and I was like, I don't know if they keep it's like a background check for students. I don't know if that's just the grades, but he said because of my background, they couldn't allow me in. Now I don't know if they keep a record of suspensions and shit like that because early on in Stockton, I got suspended like 13 times. So I don't know if they have access to that. But the way he was talking to me is like he made it seem like he did have access to that. It's either that or it was just like you had bad grades. But this isn't college, bro. This is high school. Like you damn near have to accept me. You're in my neighborhood. But he said no. And I even remember telling him, this was at Catholic school. This is after I already been to like 2 schools and they told me no. I remember I told him, you can't just give me a chance. I told him, you can't just give me a chance. Like I'll prove that I'll get better grades and stuff. And he said no. So the Catholic school put me down. And then I went to another high school that was not far off. And I was like, damn, this is a nice ass school. I was surprised at how nice it was. And I was like, I hope I get to come here. I remember thinking like, I hope I get to come here because it's hella nice here. And I went in there, I tried to enroll, and they didn't let me either. So then I went to another school, and that school actually let me in. It was like it was an adult school. Well, that's what we called it, but I don't think that's what it's really called. But it was like an adult school, and it was very like limited amount of kids, and it was like very only like six rooms in the school. It wasn't like a school that you think of a school.
Yeah.
It was literally like a hallway with 3 rooms on each floor, like 6 classes, and that's where I was at.
It was just like a detention center for
Basically all the kids who had problems or a history of trouble, they went there. So they sent me there, and they accept anybody. So they sent me there,
Okay.
and they accepted me. And I remember I went there for, I think it was like a year, and I didn't like it. I was like, I didn't like it. So I'm like, there was a school down the street. So I was like, maybe they'll accept me over there. So then I went over there, and I talked to them, and they said, yeah, you can enroll. So I was like, all right. So I enrolled because I didn't want to go to the adult school no more. So I enrolled. I got my ID the same, like, I think it was, I don't know if it was the same day. I think it was. I got my ID. They gave me my classes, and I went to my classes and everything. But the difference there was school started at 9 and it ended like at 4 or 5. And when I heard that, I'm like, that's tight. You know, I get to sleep in more. That's tight. But when I actually went through it, I'm like, heck no, I can't do this. I can't be at school. I remember it was like 3. And I remember looking at a random person beside me. I'm like, hey, what time we get out of school? And he was telling me like 4 or 5. I don't remember the time. And I was like, heck no. And then I was like, I'm leaving. For sure, I'm leaving. So then I just didn't go no more. I only went one day. And people were telling me, I don't know what they told me, but in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. So it don't matter. And I just didn't go. And then they sent me a letter and said that I was no longer allowed on the premises. And if they seen me there, they would arrest me. And that shit don't make no sense. Why they always threaten the youth with fucking arrest? I didn't do anything. I didn't commit a crime. I just didn't go to school. Maybe that's a crime, right? Not going to school. I don't know. But they said that I was absent for so long. But that's because I was really like starting to think then, like I might not go to school no more. And I had no choice but to go back to adult school because I was like, fuck that. I'd rather go there than go over there. So I went back to adult school, and then I remember one day, the day that I said, fuck this, I'm done. I was in class because they always just gave us a textbook and the fucking packet. You know how they did those? And a packet of like multiple choice and shit.
And you just had to finish.
Yeah, and we just had to finish it.
And
there was no
teaching.
Yeah, there was no teaching. Like it didn't. There was, but it was limited. It was no way the same. And to have me, they wanted me to adjust to that. It wasn't teaching no more. So I stopped going to school to learn, and I would just go there and I would just write songs. And then one day I came in, and the girl was like, we're going to make carts out of like, I think it was like during the wintertime, we're getting close. She's like, M&Ms, we're going to make graham cracker cars and shit. I'm like, what is this? Like, were we in kindergarten or what? So then I just got up and I left, and I just walked right out to school and I left. And then the next day, she told me, the teacher said, can I talk to you? And I said, yeah. So we went out. She took me into the hallway and she told me, what happened yesterday? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you just left. And I was like, well, I told her, when I come to school, I come with the intention to learn. I said, like, I don't come to school to make graham cracker cars. I can do that at home. I told her, I don't need to come here to school to do that. So because of that, I was like, there's no point in being here. So I left. And then she was like, I understand. She's like, I understand what you're saying. And you have a good point. Like, you want to come and learn. But she's like, but you just can't walk out. You can't do that. She told me you can't just leave. You can't say I don't want to be here and just leave. So she's like, next time you feel that way or feel that type of way, like, come talk to me. Like, don't just leave. But I was already like, I'm done. And then that same day they took me down and they were like, we're going to talk about, because it was during that time where they give you your classes for next year. Because it was already like ending the semester or whatever it's called. I don't know. And they gave me the classes and were having me pick. And I remember I was like, yeah, that's fine. Because in my head, I'm like, I'm not coming back.
You had already made up your mind.
My mind was already set. And then I just didn't go no
You can't
more.
do that, bro. You can't do that. But this is America.
But I thought because I was 17, I thought like, oh, the school system is gonna call the cops. That's what I thought because I was like, I'm underage. Like the school system is gonna see how long I've been absent, and they're gonna report it. They don't give two fucks.
They're worried about making cash. That's
They
it.
don't give not two fucks. They didn't say shit.
Yeah. There's too many people for them to assign somebody to be making sure every single. If somebody reports it, they might look into it, but for them to be on their own account, having somebody in check and make sure everybody who's registered and has a social security number and is a specific age is actually going to school, it's too much work.
Yeah. And looking back at it now, I'm so glad I left because I would have wasted so much time. And what's the point? Like I don't. There's no point in it for me.
Yeah. When they told me that the same shit happened to me, and then the counselor told me, hey, in order for you to graduate, you're gonna have to take after school classes on a computer, and it's gonna run you about like $600.
$600. You
yeah.
had to pay?
Yeah, I had to pay for after school, whatever the fuck. And then I did like after school, I'd stay for an extra hour and a half, and then I'll do classes or whatever. And then that allowed me to get credits to boost me back to where I needed to be. And now, from my graduating class, I think I was the only Mexican that I knew that I hung out with that graduated.
There was other Mexicans, but they just didn't graduate.
Yeah, they just didn't graduate on time with me. And there was only one other Mexican that I knew that graduated
with you,
and I walked with him.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, and I didn't even know he was graduated until graduating day when they said, "Hey, pair up." And every single time, I don't know if this happens to you, if it's just my awkward ass. Every single time that the instructor had said like pair up, I was always one of those that was like,
who the fuck wants to pair up with me?
Yeah.
That's how I was too, because I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't talk to a lot of people.
And
I talked to like 4 or 6 people max, and they weren't in my class a lot of time.
Yeah. And that feeling of like, fuck I gotta find somebody. I gotta find somebody, or else I'm gonna walk by myself and I'm gonna be a loser. So then you start looking, and I'm sure that's gotta be common, huh? You start looking because everybody pairs up so fast.
Yeah, everybody knows and shit.
Everybody pairs up, and it's always me that's always looking.
Sometimes the teacher has to assign you somebody.
Yeah, I'll pair up with anyone.
Yeah,
I don't care. Just give me another soul next to me.
Yeah, because you don't want to be the last one. Huh?
Yeah,
but that shit. But like that's a moment, huh? That I would say that's a big moment for a lot of people's life. Graduating, walking and shit.
It's not worth it.
I never walked.
It's not worth it.
I never walked.
It's not worth it. It was
because I dropped out, so I never got to walk out.
I mean, like,
and there's a lot because I see it all the time on my timeline. You know, people who I know or people that I met, like younger sisters or younger brothers, or whatever, posting like, "Oh, my brother graduated today," and they got the hat and shit, and I'm like, I never got to do that, and it's like, I don't care because I never like wanted to do that, but I'm like, yeah, my thought of it might have been is like I wouldn't want to do that, but who knows if I would have actually done it, if I would have enjoyed it, or if I missed out on something, because I can't say if I did or I done it.
Nah, because I remember I had the cap and gown you had to pay for. So that was another $150, $200 that we paid. And if you were out in the sun, we did it in the football field, and you're out there in the sun for like an hour while they announce everybody's name, and you walk and all that shit, and you walk around for another hour or whatever. It's not worth it. And the $200 out at the time, I would have just rather pocketed it. Because the shit, you wear it one time and then you never use it again. And the colors are ugly. And
are there colors based on schools?
Yeah, it's your school color.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But it's not. I feel like if you think it's worth it, you should do it, whatever. But for me,
you have a choice.
No, they didn't give me a choice. But if you had a choice to not do it, I would say. Well, I don't know.
I think a lot of people would say that's like
you probably should do it.
That's probably like a big moment in their lives. I mean, I missed out on that. And then it's like there's even things like prom and shit. I never did that shit.
I went to prom.
You went to prom? I know.
I told Chelly, because see, at the time, it's crazy to think, because at the time the cleanest car we had, like clean as far as it wasn't like badass, but like as far as like cleanliness, the cleanest car we had was Shelly's fucking 2004 Impala. It
The
was
white one?
the white one.
Yeah.
And I was like, at the time, it was the cleanest one, like rust free. It
Right.
wasn't like fully rust free, but it was clean, more rust free than the ones we had. So I'm like, can I borrow your car? And the first time I asked Shelly to let me borrow her car, and she's like, let me see. And I think I don't know if she had to move some shit around for me or whatever, but she let me borrow her car.
I don't know. I didn't know you went to prom.
And then Shelly, and then when we took pictures, like the prom pictures, there the mom, the girl I went with, she's like, not that the car's not. She's like, not that the car's not. What the hell she say? Not that the car's not like good looking or pretty or whatever, but she's like, let's take the pictures over here.
What the heck? That's weird.
Didn't like Impalas.
But why would she say that though?
I don't know. I don't know. But prom was
But that's like, I would think that people would say that's a moment too.
It was.
There's a lot of people that they never forget that shit.
But it's
and
because
a lot of people take that shit hella serious.
And I think if you have the tighter it would become is when you have a shit ton of your friends.
Friends, yeah.
And because like not a lot of people that from my graduating year that went to prom that I knew and fucked with, there's not many people that was there. So you're basically going and there's a bunch of kids that all know each other, but I don't know anybody. So it was still all right. Like I would say I didn't know anybody. I was cool with a lot of people, but we weren't like close friends. So you can't really hang out like that.
Probably that's why it means a lot to people, because if you have your childhood friend with you, prom is fun. Probably. Yeah.
So that's probably why it'd be enjoyable for some.
But like speaking on high school, like one moment that stands out is when I think I was in computers. Was I in computers class? Maybe it was computers. I don't know. But I was in class and I was listening to music, and I think you're not supposed to. And my teacher came. It was a girl teacher, and she came. And I don't know if she grabbed my phone. I don't remember if she grabbed it. I don't think she grabbed it because I would have got mad. I don't know, but somehow she got my phone. Maybe she did grab it, or I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But somehow the phone ended up on her hands, right? And she was like, she like looked at my phone, and she was looking at the music I was listening to, and it was all Tupac, and it was like, she was looking at my like, you know how like
your playlist?
No, not a playlist. It was almost like, you know how your
library?
Yeah, my library, and it was in order, right? You know, like A. You know how it's through A or whatever. So it was on T, and she was like, Thug's Mansion, Thugs Get Lonely Too, Thug Something, Thug Passion, Thugs, and she said that to the whole class, right? And I didn't understand why she said that, right? Because I'm like, but then I caught wind of it. I'm like, she's trying to embarrass me, you know? And I don't know why, but she looked at me and she's like, want me to play one? She want me to play one? And I was like, just play it. And then she's like, I think maybe she caught wind of what she was doing, because she's like, nah. And then after the class ended, she's like, Francisco, can I talk to you? And like when everybody leaves, and I said, yeah. And she came to me and she was like, I want to apologize to you. She's like, I shouldn't have done that to you. Like, that was wrong of me to do. And I was like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to me. Like, you didn't offend me. I wanted you to play it. Like, play it. You're not offending me, but it's because I was like hella out of place. I was like the only Mexican in there. Like, people, it was weird because it was where we were at. You know, I'm from Stockton and I'm in Michigan now. And it was so abnormal to them because they all laughed at me.
What do you think they would have? Do you think they knew what she was talking about when she was like, Thug's Passion, Thug's Get Lonely Too?
No, that's why they thought like it had everybody thinking like, what the fuck is in this dude playlist? Like Thugs, what is he talking about? You know, and especially because I'm Mexican and we was wearing fucking white tees and shit like that. I still had the dress code of Stockton and shit, white tee, jeans and Nikes and shit. So like, I'm pretty sure like it was a jab at me. She took a jab at me, but she apologized for it though. So I'm like, I can appreciate when somebody apologizes because that was hella wrong. But at least she can admit she was wrong.
She probably didn't. I don't know.
I don't think
I
she
don't know.
meant it like that,
Yeah.
but she caught
She
on
probably realized and then was
as
like,
she was
"Oh
doing it.
fuck."
Like, what the fuck am I doing? And I mean, it's true. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And it's just weird. What's weird when somebody apologizes to you? Another time I remember, it was we had just got assigned new classes, right? What they call them, periods. And I had went to my class, right? And you know how the desks, a lot of people like to put their legs on the bottom of the desk in front of them as like a leg rest. And I was doing that, and the girl who was sitting in front of me, she made a big scene out of nowhere. I don't even know why. She said to everyone that I was using my feet to touch her butt, right? To touch her ass. That, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, because I put my feet on the stand and it
Oh
didn't.
yeah, because it had a stand underneath the seat.
Yeah, you
for
know,
your
for your books. Yep. So I would always do that, and it didn't even like I didn't graze nothing up there. I didn't go up there, nothing at all, nothing. She all of a
You
sudden,
promise?
I pretty promise.
And she said you did.
Yeah, she said she did, and everybody like, well, everybody was like, because I'm the kid, right? Remember Stockton and everything. Nobody really knows me. I'm pretty sure they believed her, and I was like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about it. And that happened like on the first 2 days, maybe it was the first day of that period. And when the year was over, right? This was hella unexpected because the year was over, and you know how everybody's like the year's over, everybody's in a good mood and shit. For some reason, I don't know. They give you yearbooks and shit. You get your friends to sign shit. Like
Yeah,
maybe that's a way of the past. I don't think they
class.
do. They still do that.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. And then also freaking the last like hour or not even hour. Yeah, probably an hour, but it seems like every class is like free reign, huh?
Yeah,
The last little
Oh, yeah,
shit, the last like
they
20, 30 minutes of class,
you don't get to do
you don't
shit
do
no more.
shit.
Yeah.
You could sit down, you move seats, and
Yeah,
you
so
start
it's like
talking to everybody.
Yeah, so it's like a good time. And before we left, as the kids were walking out, that girl did the same thing as the teacher. She's like, "Can I talk to you?" And I'm like, "What the fuck does this girl want to talk to me about?" And then she's like, "I just wanted to tell you, like, I want to apologize." She said, "I want to apologize to you because for always being a real bitch to you." That's what she said. For being a real bitch to you. But when I remember when that seat situation happened, and I made a big deal out of it, and it wasn't you didn't do anything. She told me, and I was just being a real bitch. She's what she said, and I was like, it's all good. Like I ain't tripping off. That's the fucking 3 months ago. I don't even know how long ago. I'm not worried about it. So she's like, I just didn't want to leave on any like bad terms or anything. I was like, it's all good. Like, no problem. But it was just weird. Like, because why apologize now, months down the line?
And the last day, wait to the last day.
I mean, it's cool that she did. I mean,
what a bitch. Why does it feel like high school, at least for me growing up, it seemed like the kids that I went to high school with were way more grown than the kids that are going to high school now. Like you see a high school kid and they look like babies.
Yeah, they
now.
see like kids, huh?
But when I went to high school, there was motherfuckers with beards.
Yeah, grown
tattooed and shit. And I'm like, you look at the comparison and how big these motherfuckers were in high school. Because I remember seeing people fight.
Huge motherfuckers.
And I'm like, damn, these dudes are huge. But now you go to high school, a bunch of little pipsqueak looking guys. And I'm like, what the hell? Why is it like the such a big difference? And is it? I don't know if it's because we were kids at the time, so shit looks a lot more crazier. But I don't see anybody tattooed beard in high school now.
I think there is. I think you're tripping. I think there's a fuck ton of people with tattoos
and beards.
I don't know about beards, but I'm pretty sure there's a fuck ton of people.
I think
tattoos.
maybe
people get shit ton tattoos.
Because you think it's common for people in high school to get tattooed nowadays? Because they're kids.
There was kids who had it. You just need your parents to sign off on it. One of your parents.
Yeah, well, I mean tattoos like tatted up, like on your neck.
You seen homies on the neck?
Yeah, I had neck tattoos.
Oh, I knew homies who were fucking like. There was this dude who moved over. I don't know where he came from, but he was street as fuck, right? And then we became cool I don't, because he knew somebody that I knew, and then he introduced them to me, and then we were cool, whatever. And he had told me this fool got shot 11 times, and I didn't understand like what the fuck, but he was real serious the whole time. Like he didn't joke around or nothing, and he's like and the friend that I knew, he's like was kind of like poking, making jokes at him because he was like, how the fuck you get shot 11 times? He's like, you don't run, you don't. He's like, I would have been dodging and shit. I wouldn't have got hit that much time. And he didn't say nothing. Like he wasn't finding shit funny. But when I talked to him, he's like, nah, this shit real. Like he's like, I'm just trying to like stay out the way. Like I mean, he didn't want no problems. And he was a big motherfucker too. He was tall as shit. He was tall as shit, and he was like not heavy, but he was heavy, but he wasn't fat though. He was just big as fuck from what I remember. And he was only there for like I think a month or two, and then he left. And I don't know, it just that shit was legit. Like that fool really got shot 11 times.
He didn't say why or what happened or where it
He
was
told
at?
us that I think that they weren't even meant to get him. Like fools was spinning the block, and then he was with some people, and then the no, they weren't spinning the block. He said they were walking. He said they were walking towards him, and the people he was with had beef with them. And then when the dudes that seen the people that they had problems with, they seen them, he said they ran. And he stayed because he didn't know what the fuck's going on. And because he stayed, them fools pulled the hammer out on him and let off.
At close range?
I don't know how. I don't remember if he said it was close range.
11 times?
He said he got shot 11 times. And I'm like, fuck. Like,
And this is a kid though.
well, this was high school, yeah.
That's a
So
kid.
he got shot 11 times. But and to me, I'm like, fuck, how do you survive that? You know? But that's like God thing, you know? Who else? How you get shot 11 times to survive? People get shot once and you die. But it was
That
crazy.
shit would hurt. Getting shot and then it don't go all the way through and it just stays in your in your
And
body.
the shit burns. Huh?
Because imagine it being that hot inside your stomach.
Like
or
you
inside
felt the shell, huh? Like at the range, you felt the shell just.
Yeah, because
Yeah, that shit
the
motherfucker's
shell
hot.
touch you, shit hot. So imagine the bullet inside you and it's just bubbling.
Oh shit, cooking that shit.
Oh, damn, that
Extra
shit.
crispy, yeah.
That shit's gonna hurt.
But it's a good thing, isn't it, that it's hot?
I don't know. If it's a
Right?
good
Because
thing
that
or
shit is
bad thing.
burning you.
I don't know. I don't know if that because it could just be. There's a video I seen of or not a video. What was one of the Mr. Beast things? Not Mr. Beast. Mr. Ballin. One of those videos, and a girl had her boyfriend had shot her in the head, and she like passed out from getting shot, right? And I guess they were. So let me start back this whole shit up. They were arguing, fighting about something, and then the dude got in his car, and the girl got in her car, and then she hit him with her car. Then he got pissed off, and then like backed up and like really slammed into her, and like broke the glass, the driver's side door. And she had cuts from the glass on her face, and that's the last thing she remembers. But come to find out, the boyfriend got so mad he went while after he hit her, he got out and he shot her in the back of the head with a 22, and then took her inside. And then she woke up. She woke up probably like the next morning, and she said her head hurt. Well, obviously, because she got shot, but she died just because of the accident. She must have.
Yeah.
So she just stayed at home for like the next 2 weeks, and just like she was talking to normally to people. She was she just stopped going to work, was indoors taking ibuprofen for the pain, and she
That's
could talk to everybody. Everything was fine. Everybody thought she was normal. She just said she had
She didn't
really
have no
bad,
like blood or nothing.
no, she did have a little bit of like back here. She had a cut, but she figured it was from the glass.
Oh yeah.
So she was like, well, she just said it's the cut. So then it healed.
Oh shit.
Like
healed?
like 4 weeks after, she didn't go to the hospital or nothing for like 4 weeks.
Damn.
She had a headache for that long, and she said it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then they finally took her to the doctor, and then she was saying, "Oh, my head hurts. It's been hurting this. The only thing that happened is I got into an accident, small, minor, and she still had a little bit of cuts on her face. And they did an X-ray on her ass, and they found that she had a bullet in her head.
That's
And
crazy.
the doctor said we can't do nothing about it because your brain healed around the bullet. So us going in there
Oh man,
and pulling the bullet out will do more harm than good. So
you're fucked.
she just got to live with that bullet in her head. So she's still alive, but thinks she still got that headache to this day.
I don't think so. Maybe he adjusted.
I don't know.
That's
Hopefully
hella
he did.
crazy though. How the shit that the human body can withstand. A bullet to the head, it's over,
Yeah.
right? You would think.
That's what
But
the
then again,
doctor
it's a
said.
22.
The doctor
But
said
even
that
at
they never seen
22.
this. They're like, for you should be dead, and somehow you're not dead. And she's walking around talking normally. She didn't lose any brain function like you.
But you would think you would lose something because it damaged part of your brain. It had
Yeah.
to.
I don't know.
So that means it damaged a part of the brain that isn't necessary.
Or that
Do we have extra part of the brain that's just there?
I don't know. I'm sure every part of the brain
Plays a role,
plays a role, but I feel like maybe if the brain has ways to bypass certain sections that were damaged, so now the information takes a little bit longer, like memory would take a little bit longer to really
Damn,
understand.
that's how crazy to even think about. That you can live through that shit. And then what happened to the homeboy? He went to jail.
Yeah, they arrested his ass.
Oh.
Because after she could only remember she got into an accident with her boyfriend, and then after that, and then they questioned the dude, and the dude said, "Yeah, I shot her in the head."
Yeah, just imagine the doctor be like, "You got a fucking bullet in your head." I'm like, what? There was this interview where they were interviewing this dude for a murder. They were interviewing him, and they thought it was like a domestic violence thing. And the dude was fucked up himself. And they were talking to him, and they were like, "We know you did it, whatever." And he's like, "What? Like, I don't know what you're talking about." He was all confused, like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything." He's like, "Whatever." He's like, "Last time, remember this, whatever." And they kept pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. And then during the interview, the interrogator was like, he looked at him because his face was fucked up, and he looked at him, and he's like, he looked at him closer. And he had a fucking bullet hole right here. They never noticed that. And a fucking bullet, I think, went into his head or some shit. It was caught. It was in there. And they were like, "What the fuck? Like, this motherfucker has a..." Then when he like, "Hold on." And he went out. And this motherfucker got a bullet hole in his head. So they're like, "Oh,
And they were
shit.
saying,
No wonder he's so confused. He just got shot in the fucking face." So they're like, they're taking him to the hospital or whatever. And they found out that, he had nothing to do with the crime. Even though it looked like it. It looked like he's the one who killed her. But he's like, "Nah, I did it." But he was talking. He was talking everything. Like, you got a fucking bullet hole to your nose. Right? Thank you for listening to the AB podcast. You can follow us in the links below. All our social medias are linked there. If you want to buy some merch, the merch that we're usually wearing in the podcast, you can buy it as well. The link will be below.